Welcome back. 3 months after the extension of the bank verification number exercise, customers were yet to oblige with the directive, have engaged in last-minute rush to beat the deadline. Bank customers want further extension, while others say that the exercise should be continuous. Channels Television's business correspondent Temple Ashaju reports.
The bank verification number project was launched in February 2014 by the Central Bank and the Bankers Committee. The exercise aims to curtail electronic fraud and enhance financial inclusion. Managed by the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, the 11-digit number has so far been allotted to over 20 million bank customers. An initial deadline of June the 30th for bank customers' registration saw millions of Nigerians struggling to register at the last minute. This led to a decision by the Central Bank to extend the deadline to October the 31st. And 24 hours to the time limit, the banks still experienced last-minute rush. In a number of states, southeast Nigeria, most customers want the exercise extended.
They should be given an extension so that they will have the opportunity to do it. November, 1 month. Let them give them 1 month.
In Lagos, Abuja, and Adamawa, the story is not different.
I don't know why they had to call it tomorrow being the deadline there. I don't know why they would have extended it till the end of this year or thereabout.
I need them to extend it to some days so that people will be able to do it.
For bank customers in Port Harcourt, the south-south region of the country, it's mixed reactions.
Registration of a BVN number by the end of the month, to me, it is not visible.
The National Identity Card Office should have this data bank of every Nigerian.
At the last Bankers Committee meeting in Lagos, the regulators affirmed that there will be no extension for the exercise.
There will be no extension of this October 31st deadline.
Now it's been done for free, but after that timeline, you may need to pay because you're going to be causing a lot of inconvenience for the system.
The introduction of fees for BVN acquisition becomes a discussion point for analysts.
Well, if the bank feels so, I think it's not wrong doing that.
We're talking about financial inclusion. Many Nigerians are still unbanked. Many Nigerians still don't even have money in the bank. And we're trying to, you talked about the rural people, we want to include them.
The bank verification numbers are numbers generated from one of the numerous biometric registration exercises carried out across the country. Now, with this one concluded and customers' biodata replicated across different silos nationwide, the time to harmonize these biodata banks may just be now. Temple Ashaju, Channels Television News.
More in business now. Total government revenue in 2015 has been in serious decline, especially since the end of the general elections. It's at the end of September, the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee reported a total revenue shortfall of 47 billion naira, with non-oil sector revenue slumps seen in 44.8 billion naira. Now, the fall in revenue has been blamed on steady decline of crude oil prices, a weak naira, and a tough domestic operating environment, led in the main by the uncertainty surrounding the general elections, the petrol scarcity, as well as unpaid estimated 300 billion naira subsidies, in addition to blood insurgency in the northeast and volatile ethnic clashes in the north central. Add to the above the slew of disappointing quarterly earnings from many of Nigeria's big capitalized companies listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, dragging the index value of the market to near 17% decline as at October ending. Well, joining me now to make sense of this all is an economist and the CEO of Financial Derivatives, Mr. Bismarck Rwani. You're welcome to the News at 10.
Good evening, Madam Marche.
Good evening. Before we go into the discussions proper, let's get your thoughts on the BVN and the deadline by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Well, the BVN is the stock of bank accounts. All bank accounts with a BVN means there's a verification number and you can be identified biometrically. So you can't have two identities. It reduces the propensity to have ghost workers and also is another way of sanitizing the population numbers of this country.
Yeah, and it ends, the deadline for registration ends tomorrow.
Yeah, that's for existing accounts. Every new account that is opened thereafter, you would have a BVN. So what you can do is actually open an account, and then you can transfer the details of what was there before to the new account. So there are people who have died already who have a BVN, and there are people who have just become 18 who can open an account. And so it's a continuous process, not a...
So it sounds like you're saying you can't put a cap on,
Absolutely
when
not.
the
Absolutely
people
not.
can register. Okay, so now the federal government's revenue has continued to decline steadily, according to the short report that I just read, especially the non-oil sector, showing almost 45 billion naira shortfall last month. What do you think the key issues are from a policy action point of view?
First of all, recognizing the fact that your revenues have dropped. Your revenues have dropped significantly because the cost of a barrel is still $25 a barrel, while the price of a barrel has come down from 110 all the way to 48. Therefore, the spread you had before now was $95 on every barrel. That spread is down to 25. That is significant. It's much more than we think. Okay, so the impact on revenue is one, impact on taxes, and impact of foreign exchange earnings. That is why all measures are being taken to mop up and to actually manage the limited foreign exchange that we have, so that it can go around at least to meet necessary items.
So what's your outlook on the economy the first quarter of 2016? This year already is ending.
Okay, now let's, first of all, where were we last year at this time? At this time last year, the stock market was down by 27%. Now it's down by 17%. At this time last year, corporate profitability was up almost 20%. This quarter, corporate profitability is down 32%. GDP growth rate at this time last year was 6.23%. Now it's down to 2.35 in the second quarter and estimated to go down to 2.10. External reserves were $39.5 billion at this time last year. Now it's down to $30.3 billion. The exchange rate in the parallel market was 169 naira to a dollar by this time last year. Second quarter it was 226, now it's 226.5 in the parallel market today. Inflation was 8.4% last year at this time. It's now up to 9.4%. The price of oil at the end of the third quarter last year was $103 a barrel. Today is at $48.1. What was shared among the states at this time last year was 623 billion naira. This month we are sharing 389. You heard Fayoshe saying that he had only 1 point something billion and his wage bill is 2 point something billion naira.
So let's take it to the future now. What
does it mean? It means that if you don't have enough money, then you got to shed weight, right? You've got to rationalize, increase the revenue, but also contain your costs. So what's happening? Block the leakages, deal with fraud and all. Even if you deal with all of the fraud and all of the corruption, the fact that your revenue is down means that you don't have the capacity to do what you were doing previously. So you've got to make some adjustments. You can wish all you want. Sooner or later, you have to come to terms with the fact that things are not the way they were. And therefore, you've got to make some hard choices.
Such as?
It's there. It's simple. You cut back, but you need to stimulate this economy. So first, you deal with the bailout of the 27 states. The president said 27 states couldn't pay salaries. And that was at the time when the oil price was even at $60-something. In the last 12 weeks, the price of oil has been below 50, 11 weeks out of the 12 weeks. Your benchmark price is $53. Therefore, this is what we call an underwater situation, right? But the good news is that in the last quarter of the year, we are going to be beginning to see some recovery. Some recovery, and that takes us into 2016, which will become a much more positive. But you have to absorb, you have to survive 2015 to be able to thrive in 2016. So what are we looking at? In the stock market, in all of this, 3 winners. Winner number 1 is Union Homes. The stock price has gone up by 946%. Unity Bank, 186%. Unity Bank has come up with it. They have a new chief executive, new products, new image, new everything, and then they're moving. Better Glass is up 66%. Who are the big losers? Evans Medical, down 75%. Owando, for obvious reasons, down 58%. And there's a bank there, Diamond Bank, down there. Now, let us compare this to what has happened to Apple. Apple, the company. Apple had a revenue of $233 billion.
Yeah.
Apple had a profit of $53 billion. Much more than what you can think about. Nigeria's total export earnings is 54 billion. Apple has cash in the bank of $205 billion. We have reserves of 29. Apple has 10 times more cash than Nigeria, right? They sold 48 million iPhones in 1 quarter. Okay, so what's the outlook? Q4, GDP will be flat, leakages will be reduced, there will be improved power supply, and banking sector profitability will come under pressure. That's what the outlook is for the next quarter.
Mr. Irwane, thank you for joining us on the News.
Thank you very much,
A
Amarachi.
very enlightening discussion it has been. Mr. Bismarck Irwane, economist and CEO of Financial Derivatives in Lagos. Members of staff of the Nigerian Natural Liquefied Gas Company have continued their drive to identify with those internally displaced persons as a result of Boko Haram's crisis in the northeast. This time, the staff body under the Let's Care initiative are offering 30 IDP students from the northeast 5-year scholarships for the secondary school education. They announced this at the beginning of their tour of the insurgency-affected states in Borno.
The global population of internally displaced persons have continued to rise as a result of violence and conflict. Nigeria has not been immune from the plague as it ranks among the first 10 countries with its estimated 1.538 million IDPs. Members of staff of the Nigerian Natural Liquefied Gas Company are not just listening to the figures, but finding ways to be a part of the solution.
Nigeria NLNG Limited is pleased to offer 10 students from Borno State 5-year secondary school scholarship in support of government's effort to actualize the plight and the lives of those affected by the incident of insurgency.
Their gesture is welcomed by the Borno State governor, who, however, points out that his state carries about 85% of the IDP burden and perhaps should have been given more.
Even if we have to show gratitude, there are 101 organizations in this country that are capable of reaching out and offering a helping hand, and they didn't do anything. So I want to thank you most sincerely. But like Oliver Twist will ask for more.
The group is then led on a tour of makeshift camps, some of them domiciled in their local government headquarters. For the NLNG group, their act is a drop in the ocean when confronted with the reality of the plight of the victims of terror attacks.
This is just our little effort. We call on all meaning Nigerians, organizations, individuals, let's organize ourselves and provide the needed material to these people.
The number of internally displaced persons in Borno State alone is about 1.5 million. And I think this number is quite large for the state government to handle. I appreciate what they did. Therefore, we are calling upon all other well-meaning Nigerians to support Borno State government in its effort to ensure that the displaced persons are catered for.
The problems facing IDPs in Nigeria's northern region are enormous, and gestures like this should not only be encouraged, but the example followed.
And it's time now to move into the business world proper. Here's Anne Mamoudou as our guide.
You first. First Bank.
Hello and welcome to Business News. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, says that there is no intention by the federal government to further devalue the naira. While he says the Apex Bank is rather concentrating on how to improve and deepen the foreign exchange market by improving supply of foreign exchange into the market. And the Central Bank of Nigeria has weakened its exchange rate peg to 197 naira to the dollar on the interbank market. And this is down from 196 naira 97 kobo it was on Monday. Traders say this is the 11th adjustment since the regulator introduced tight currency controls in the month of February. The central bank had resorted to adjusting the rate on the local currency since pegging it to the dollar in February and then abolishing two-way naira quotes to help conserve forex forex reserves. Traders say the present method of exchange rate fixing has led to an erosion of the country's forex reserves, which stood at $30.13 billion as of October the 27th, and that's down from $30.38 billion it was in the month of September. Key indicators at the Nigerian Stock Exchange ended the week 0.87% lower, with the all-share index standing at 29,190.54. Well, Bisi Adebayo has the rest of today's closing figures.
Hello there, welcome to the Stock Market Reports. The bears returned to the Nigeria equities market today as key indicators ended the week 0.87% lower. The all-share index now stands at 29,190.54. Market capitalization also fell to 10.03 trillion naira. Food giant Nestle led 18 other losers, which include Nigerian breweries and Unilever. On the other hand, Okomo oil appreciated by 3.64% to end Friday's session at 29 naira 2 kobo. Now, Zenith Bank and Berger Paints also made the advances list. Bank stocks were the top volume drivers for the day, and they include UBA, Zenith Bank, and Guaranty Trust Bank in the top 3 category. When the closing gong rang, volume traded came in at 206.01 million shares, valued at 3.37 billion naira, and exchanged in 2,773 deals. And that's a wrap on the stock market reports. I am Bisi Adebayo.
Oh, thanks a lot, Bisi. Markets around the globe ended the week with mixed sentiments. Let's see those figures now. And it's a wrap on business news for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawudu. Amarachi will be back with the rest of the news at 10.
You first. First Bank.
Former Minister of the Niger Delta, Mr. Godsday Orubebe, is to be arraigned before the Code of Conduct Tribunal on 4 counts of false assets declaration and bribery. Mr. Orubebe is being charged by the Code of Conduct Bureau for alleged failure to declare landed property in Kiamu and Asoko districts, both in Abuja, on assumption of office as minister on September 26, 2007. In the other counts, Mr. Orubebe is also facing charges of allegedly accepting bribes totaling 70 million naira from one Pastor Jonathan Alota for the award of contracts in favor of his company. The former Niger Delta minister is to appear before the Justice Danadi Umar-led Code of Conduct Tribunal on November 9, 2015. Still ahead on the news at 10, embattled Chelsea manager Jose Mourinho keeps sealed lips on his future at Stamford Bridge as he prepares for a game that could decide his fate as club manager. Now, in sports news, please join us again.